minors. How did he do that? Why did nobody say anything? Why did people keep eating with him? Well, at the very least, we can conclude, based on the evidence, that there is a tolerance for pedophilia among the most powerful in our society, a tolerance that you would not find in, say, your average middle-class American family. Some of the rich really are different that way. That's clearly true. And in case you needed more evidence of that, consider Balenciaga. Balenciaga is what they call a luxury brand. Balenciaga is a company that sells $1,100 sneakers and cotton sweatshirts for $1,500 to people who've literally run out of things to buy. You're probably not doing your back-to-school shopping at Balenciaga, but some people apparently are. So this week, Balenciaga rolled out a new ad campaign on Instagram, and the selling point of the ads was sex with children. One photograph showed a very young girl lying face down on a couch with candles, empty wine glasses, and a dog collar on a coffee table in front of her. Another picture showed the same girl, a toddler, holding a teddy bear dressed in sexual bondage gear, including a leather harness. And then, in case you missed the point, we're for pedophilia at Balenciaga, another picture made it explicit. That picture showed pages from a Supreme Court opinion that struck down a law designed to fight child pornography. Whoever staged the photo shoot made certain to include a portion of that opinion that used the word sex or sexual 4 times. And of course, that was not an accident. Balenciaga wanted you to notice. So this seemed like a big story to us, as we told you last night. Here you have a major international retail brand promoting kiddie porn and sex with children, and not promoting it subtly, but right out in the open. No healthy society can tolerate that, and in fact, none ever have tolerated it. There's never been a time in American history where pedophilia was considered anything other than the worst thing, the most horrifying crime imaginable. Pedophiles famously get killed in prison because even murderers consider them immoral. That's how out of bounds it is and has always been to sexualize children. It's totally unacceptable. But apparently, it's not unacceptable anymore. Academics have redefined child molesters as minor attracted persons, and the point, of course, is to send the message that actually it's not that big a deal. It's just a different kind of love. So maybe not surprisingly, given that trend, apart from a few isolated exceptions in the American media, almost all outlets completely ignored Balenciaga's kiddie porn ad campaign. There was not a single story about it in the New York Times this morning, or in Jeff Bezos' Washington Post, or on CNN or NBC. There was no talk of an investigation or a boycott. The usual outrage merchants stayed completely silent because they weren't outraged. Balenciaga ultimately issued a statement saying it was going to punish the photographer who did the shoot, like it was the photographer's fault and they didn't know about it. And after that, the story effectively died. And that means that the CEO of Balenciaga, a man called Cedric Charbit, will not become a social pariah for what his company has just done. He will continue, just as Jeffrey Epstein continued, to enjoy his busy social life totally unpenalized with his many fabulous celebrity friends. Here he is, for example, with the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who looks very excited to be with him. Now, we found that picture, by the way, in less than a minute online. Yet as far as we know, apart from us on this show, no one has asked Eric Adams about it, and it's likely that nobody ever will. And the reason is simple. The media have no interest in covering the sexualization of children. Their interest, and it's a very intense interest, tellingly so, is in destroying anyone who complains about the sexualization of children, or who even notices it. Noticing it, they tell us, is an attack on the LGBT community. So the assumption here, their assumption, apparently, is that gay people are in favor of molesting kids, and of course in favor of performing genital mutilation on minors. But that's absurd. No normal person is for this, gay or not. It's not anti-gay to oppose kiddie porn, or to feel horror at the fact that doctors are cutting the breasts off of healthy teenage girls. These are crimes, and most gay people think they're crimes. Why wouldn't they think that? Protecting children from adults who want to sexually exploit them is a basic human instinct, and it's a noble instinct. And yet NBC News is doing its best to redefine that instinct as a crime. Yesterday, NBC brought on its law enforcement expert, by the way, a former assistant director of the FBI, to warn viewers that anyone who complains about the sexualization of children will be punished by the legal system, will be sued into bankruptcy and destroyed. Watch this.
There was going to be a drag brunch the next day at Club Q. And that's a way to get kids to see, hey, look, it's a person, doesn't necessarily look like the people that you see every day at the store or whatever. But these are real people with lives and emotions. They like the same stories that you do. There's nothing sexualized about it. But every time there's one of those now, the Proud Boys show up because there's an account on the internet called Libs of TikTok that's been pushed by, Tucker Carlson and the Babylon Bee and the far right.
Tucker, in particular, seems fixated on this anti-queer panic. In addition to his diatribes against drag shows, he's platformed anti-trans activists, used particularly vicious and extreme rhetoric to attack children's hospitals for providing trans youth with medical care.
If he's a consumer of the people we just rattled off, from Lauren Boebert to Tucker Carlson, let's get it out. Let's get it out at trial. Let's expose it for what it is, name it and shame it. He's a consumer of these people, and those people should face civil consequences from the victims.
Oh, so the former assistant director of the FBI calling for, quote, civil consequences against anyone who doesn't like the sexualization of children. If you complain about it, you're responsible for the murders that other people commit. Is that in the legal code? No, it's not. But NBC News is doing its very best to add it. MSNBC has spent the last 2 days suggesting that because he signed a bill banning teachers from sexualizing kindergartners, Ron DeSantis is somehow tied to a mass shooter in Colorado.
Earlier this year, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis infamously signed into law what critics have called the Don't Say Gay bill, which prevents some teachers from even discussing the existence of gay and trans folks.
When you have a Don't Say Gay bill in the state of Florida, for instance, or when Ron DeSantis wants to send the police to investigate drag shows.
The Don't Say Gay bill in Florida is certainly something that helps add to his national political profile. But one thing is clear is they just want to continue demonizing folks and otherizing people.
They started moving in the spring to LGBTQ people. Specifically, they were really excited about the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida.
So if you don't want a kindergarten teacher to talk to your kindergartner about sex, you're anti-gay? Ron DeSantis is the spiritual father of a mass murder in Colorado? Really? No matter how you feel about Ron DeSantis or about sex, it's not plausible. In fact, it's ridiculous. Yet they keep saying it. And the question is, why do they keep saying it? Well, they're saying it because that's how determined they are to keep you from talking about this subject. They will call you an accessory to murder. They'll threaten to sue you into poverty, as the assistant director of the FBI just did, if you don't shut up. That's pretty weird when you think about it. In fact, it's very weird. But they have nothing else to say because actually children really are being sexually exploited in this country, in some cases for money. It's not hidden, it's in the open, and it's totally real. This summer, for example, Matt Walsh exposed the atrocities underway at Vanderbilt Medical Center in Nashville. A physician there admitted to mutilating the genitals of children because it's a profit center for the hospital. Watch this.
These surgeries make a lot of money. So female to male chest reconstruction can bring in $40,000. A patient just on routine hormone treatment, who I'm only seeing a few times a year, can bring in several $1,000s that requires a lot of visits and labs. It actually makes money for the hospital.
It actually makes money for the hospital. Now, if you were a muckraking reporter with a conscience, that would be the story of a lifetime. It's all there on tape. A doctor admitting they're mutilating the genitals of children for money, naming the dollar amounts. How could you pass that up? But everyone passed it up. No one covered it. Instead, journalists attacked Matt Walsh for uncovering it. Really? What's the motive there? Nor did they cover what's going on at hospitals across the country, including CHOP, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the famous hospital. A hospital that admitted in an email to performing bottom surgery on a minor and slicing off the breasts of young women for no medical reason whatsoever. There's no medical justification for that ever, and yet they bragged about doing it. In Boston, a staffer at Children's Hospital bragged on tape about 2-year-olds preparing to transition. Truly insane, utterly divorced from legitimate medicine, but again, it was completely ignored. Here it is.
So most of the patients that we have in the GEMS clinic actually know their gender, usually around the age of puberty, but a good portion of children do know as early as seemingly from the womb, and they will usually express their gender identity as very young children, some as soon as they can talk. They might say phrases such as I'm a girl, or I'm a boy, or I'm going to be a woman, or I'm going to be a mom. Kids know very, very early. So in the GEMS clinic, we see a variety of young children all the way down to ages 2 and 3, and usually up to the ages of 9.
That is not science. That doesn't bear any resemblance to science. That's scary. And yet the media choose to ignore it. Why? Because no decent person can look that or any of this in the face without wincing, because it's just too awful. It has nothing to do with medicine. It has nothing to do with improving the lives of patients or making this a better country. No, it is a dangerous cult that is causing irreparable harm to children, not just a few, but a lot. Now, at some point, when the spell breaks, our entire society will recognize this because it's obvious, and we will all recoil in shame that we ever tolerated it for a second. But we're not there yet. In the meantime, we are grateful for people like Jamie Michelle, who has had the bravery to tell the truth about what's happening in the face of unending threats. Jamie Michelle is the founder of Gays Against Groomers and joins us tonight. Jamie, thanks so much for coming on. Do you find it striking that Balenciaga comes out with an ad campaign promoting pedophilia? I don't think anyone disputes that. And the media spend their time attacking anyone who's offended by the ad campaign. What is that?
Yeah, it doesn't shock me anymore. You would think it would, but this is just a growing trend from, corporate America feeling comfortable pushing this and our community running cover for it. It's disturbing. Everything seems to be upside down. Obviously, the people that should be condemned are Balenciaga and, everybody that is behind this push to sexualize and indoctrinate and mutilate kids. At first the ad, it was shocking to see, but then, you think about it for another second or two and it all just makes sense. The floodgates seem to be open and people are just full steam ahead trying to attack and assault children, which is a red line for everybody. It should be. Well, you would think for everybody. For the majority of people, it is. And that's why, there is such a strong visceral reaction coming out against it, just as much as there is in support of it. And I do love that you're saying, and I appreciate you for saying that not all of us in the gay community support this. It's actually quite the opposite. There's the fringe minority within our community that does, but they are so loud because they have the backing of every powerful institution in this country, as we're seeing, and we're doing everything we can to stop it.
But this is being justified in your name. You run a group called Gays Against Groomers. You watch television. Anyone who says a word is anti-gay, as if all gays are in favor of this. The implication is you're in favor of kiddie porn or sexualizing kids. That seems like a slur to me.
It is, and that's really, really upsetting to see because it's actually doing more harm to us. I want to be very clear that being anti-groomer and anti-child sexualization and mutilation is not anti-gay. It's not anti-LGBTQ. What is anti-LGBTQ, though? Right. It shouldn't have to be said. But what is anti-LGBTQ that these people need to understand, and what is putting our community in great danger is, claiming that all of us support this and just associating all of us with this. Saying that groomer is an anti-LGBTQ slur. That is doing irreparable damage to us as a whole and is putting a really large target on our backs. And unfortunately, the tragedy that happened in Colorado Springs the other night, it was expected and predictable. We all within Gays Against Groomers saw this coming from a mile away. Yeah. And sadly, I don't think it's going to stop until we end this evil agenda that is attacking children. And I really hope that people, hear me and hear what we're saying, that this is really hurting us. And it's, our Gays Against Groomers, our priority is to protect children. But, we also are here to protect ourselves and defend ourselves, because what is happening, what's being done in our name is putting us all in danger.
I think you're exactly right. I think it's obvious. Jamie Michelle, I appreciate you coming on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.